Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. Experts raise concerns as Ripple president provides vague response about XRP adoption post-lawsuit. Now, there's been, and I'm glad we're having this, broad discussion within the XRP community about what's going on with XRP, what's going on with the XRP ledger. Are there problems that perhaps we should address? Is developer activity sufficient? We absolutely should have these discussions. But this headline here is coming as we were already having these discussions in recent days, and people are now concerned that even Ripple is not particularly thrilled with XRP and isn't so bold as to just state, yes, XRP adoption is increasing. And they're covering perspective from Ripple's president, Monica Long. And I will say at the outset of the video, and we'll get more into this, but it is the case that Ripple has been expanding their business, let's say, to other non-ODL, non-XRP, non-payments related things. In fact, if you're paying attention, you may have seen Brad Garlinghouse speaking on television, various television channels, and when he was speaking just recently, like at Davos, so on and so forth, and when he was explaining what Ripple does, he explains that they're a blockchain company first that offers, enterprise solutions to various firms. It was something along those lines. It's not, we're a fintech company, or we're a payments company. And then, so he'll say we're offering blockchain solutions on an enterprise level first, and then he'll mention something about payments. That's what he's doing. So there's a shift away. Is that some sort of indication that they're kind of leaving XRP? Well, I'm not so convinced of that. I think they're just expanding up, but we'll get back to that. Before going further, though, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I will note that yesterday I published this video titled, "We Need to Be Honest with Ourselves About XRP." And it was basically covering a topic that was really started, I would say, by my fellow XRP YouTuber, the Blockchain Backer, noting that developer activity for the XRP ledger and XRP not nearly as high as other chains, yet XRP is still in the top 10 coins by market cap, and we have a really big community. So is this a concern? Because he did find correlation. This is real data. He's proven it on his channel. He found real correlation indicating that the coins that were most likely to pop off last market cycle had more developer activity. So it's a legitimate thing to talk about. And look, I want to be clear here. I do still believe that the XRP ecosystem is healthy overall, and that it will reach a new all-time high this upcoming market cycle as long as Bitcoin does. I think that that's a prerequisite. I'd be very surprised if XRP hits a new all-time high without Bitcoin doing it first, because the asset class moves in tandem. It just does still. And you can have bigger moves for coins that people are more confident in, but there is that correlation. And so, when I put out this video, I was just following up on the warning that the Blockchain Backer issued, because I think he was making a lot of sense. And as investors, as holders, we need to stay informed of what's happening within this quickly evolving cryptocurrency asset class. You don't want to stick your head in the sand. If there's something wrong with XRP, if somebody's pointing that out, don't be like, you're just a fudster. I mean, unless they legitimately are. If it's a person that's bringing up a genuine critique, like, if they're right, don't you want to know that if you have serious money in it? If you need to run for the hills, say it were that bad, wouldn't you want to know? And that's not where we are, I don't think, anyway. I don't think we're anywhere near that. But I wanted to expand upon some of these thoughts further and then get into the stuff having to do with what the Ripple president had to say. Because, look, unquestionably, the Blockchain Backer is correct. It's just factual data. Developer activity matters. And part of, I don't want to rehash my whole video that I published yesterday, but part of the overarching point is that, that I made anyway, is that although developer activity matters, it's not the only thing that matters. And, with XRP not having smart contract functionality on layer 1, might that be the case, might that be the primary reason, and I think it may be, that the XRP ledger has way fewer developers than, say, Ethereum, for example, or other smart contracts platforms, because you can do more stuff if you have that functionality. And so that's probably it. Does that mean that XRP is doomed because it doesn't have that? Well, no, because there are also things that you can do with the XRP ledger that smart contract platforms, some of them just would be terrible at. Can you imagine plugging ETH itself into on-demand liquidity, for example? Do you want to add more friction to payments? So that's just one obvious example, because we all know how ODL works because we're in the XRP community. But the XRP ledger is better than smart contract platforms for many things. It's just so if it's the case that you're just not going to be able to do as much because it doesn't have that, okay, but there's still clearly a place for a cryptocurrency that's just broadly great for payments in general. I do still believe that. And then there's also something to be said for staying power. That's something I mentioned in my video yesterday. Bitcoin was first. If there were a copycat Bitcoin launched today, it would fail. Because it's the least technologically advanced crypto on the planet. You can't do that much with it, but people are still building on it. They're trying anyway. It's just not a great starting point. The reason they're doing it is because it's the most well-known, so they're trying to make the best of what they have. That's pretty much it. But XRP also has staying power, and it's been around for over a decade. So is it actually going to go away? And so the big question I asked yesterday, I'm just trying to summarize this moving forward in case you guys didn't catch the video. The big question here is, in my mind, is to, aside from how can we get more developer activity, that's a whole separate thing. I'm not talking about that as much in this particular video. But how do you weight the importance of various things? To what degree is the fact that something's been around for a long time really good? To what degree does it matter that it's become a standard for various use cases? Because XRP unquestionably is a standard for various use cases, and there's no indication that's going to change. Don't people value that? Isn't that a real thing? Are there other reasons that coins are ranked highly in terms of market cap, even if there's lower developer activity? And I think the answer very clearly is yes, even though I absolutely agree with the points that the blockchain backer brought up. I'm just stating that there are other metrics we need to consider. So consider this. You guys familiar with Raoul Pal? Raoul Pal is very pro XRP. When XRP was around $1, he was saying that he still thinks that XRP has a real good chance of going to $10. He owns XRP. He's pro XRP. Former Goldman Sachs executive, and he recently had an interview with Anthony Pompliano, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with, very famous Bitcoin maximalist. So Raoul Pal, in an interview with Anthony Pompliano, he said that Tron, cryptocurrency Tron, has the largest stablecoin ecosystem. And I didn't know that. And I'll just take him at his word. I didn't go double check that, but it's Raoul Pal, so I'm just going to assume that, he's a reputable source. I'm just going to assume that's the case. That paints a clear picture that developer activity is not necessarily the metric most heavily considered by investors when it comes to investing in a cryptocurrency. It's not always that. Check this out. The developer activity for Tron is, quite frankly, abysmal. The blockchain backer even highlighted Tron specifically on his channel. I remember seeing it, and it's just I don't remember the exact number. You can go look it up at the developer report. But the developer activity for Tron is abysmal. It is terrible, practically non-existent. Yet, it's number 13 in market cap today. Take a look at this. For those of you who care to look at your screen, there's Tron. 13 in market cap. 13 in market cap. How is that possible? What's going on here, right? That's a little weird, isn't it? Is it just some strange outlier and the market doesn't know what it's doing? Well, this is the question. Is developer activity the most important thing for XRP? Well, I can't say for certain that it is. I'm not convinced it is, even though I admit it could be. Look, it actually might not be, but even if it's not the most important metric, as a community, we should focus on it. The blockchain backer is hitting the nail on the head with that. He's absolutely correct, because if we assume it's not that important for XRP and we're wrong, we could be looking at XRP slipping out of the top 10 coins in market cap at some point in the future. Do you want to risk that? Do you want to stick your head in the sand? Because I don't. I don't care. I don't want that to happen because I care about this community and because I have a large percentage of my net worth in XRP, just as many of you do as well. So the question for me is, what metrics need to be considered? How should they be weighted in such a consideration? Perhaps the market is accurately pricing where XRP is, and maybe we are over worrying, but I don't know that for sure. Which is why we need to have this talk, and it's always better to have more development activity anyway, and more adoption, and getting the word out there. But it could be. I bet it could be the case that XRP is appropriately, placed in terms of market cap because of the actual adoption. Because actually, I'm going to circle back because there's another point that was made by a couple XRP community members that really paints the picture that, frankly, the development activity for a lot of these coins might be complete crap, and so that's the reason that, if you look at actual adoption in terms of what XRP is used for, maybe people are just factoring that in more as opposed to a bunch of unknown projects out here. And so there was a post by attorney Bill Morgan who was linking to my video the other day where I was discussing this topic. So I want to say thank you to attorney Bill Morgan for linking to that on social media platform X. And then I responded to that, and I wrote to him, and I said, and I tagged the blockchain backer. I wrote, "I'm glad the blockchain backer got the conversation going. I'm just trying to help carry it on because he's definitely on the right track. Thanks for sharing my video, Bill." And then the blockchain backer responded with the heart emoji and then wrote the following. "I know that not everyone is a fan of Charles Hoskinson. However, here's an example of a conversation taking place where he too is focusing on development for Cardano. Also focusing on developer report. He's opening the dialect for ideas." Okay, so I love to hear that. Now, that was just this morning. I have not had a chance to watch this 35-minute video that the blockchain backer shared, highlight from Charles Hoskinson. I'm going to. I probably won't have time to do it until tomorrow, frankly, because after this, I've got to head to my nephew's first birthday party, and then it's date night with my girlfriend, so I'm going to be busy and pretty booked up for the rest of the day. But that sounds interesting, and I want to hear the perspective, so I plan to check that out tomorrow, and I'm glad that he shared that. Now take a look at this. And this is fascinating. This is something that I didn't bring up in my video yesterday. But check this out. Somebody responded to attorney Bill Morgan, where he shared the link to my video, named Helicon Darkstar, and he wrote the following. "No one is building anything on any chain that's worth squat. Until there's a major player that wants to use something to solve a problem that doesn't exist, it's all dead on arrival, in my opinion. Just a speculator's wet dream. Get more TradeFi on board to manipulate prices for traders. Use case." And then XRP community member Pompous Maxi responded to that, and he wrote, "Perfect example of quality versus quantity. I hear all this talk about the thousands of developers on ETH and Solana, but what is the appeal of a bunch of pipe dreams and scams that create the toxic environment that regs call the Wild West?" And so these are really great points, and I wish I had mentioned this in my video yesterday in hindsight. But consider that ETH, which has, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2,400 developers, and maybe it was Polkadot and Polygon that, I'd have to go back and look, it doesn't matter, you can just fact check it yourselves, but it may have like close to 800 developers full-time. And then you got XRP Ledger with 45, which is a number that's disputed, by the way, from a Ripple employee that I spoke with. I mentioned that yesterday, so it could be higher than that to whatever degree. But even if it's just 45, again, my suspicion is that might have to do with the fact that there's not smart contract functionality. So, but then people look at those numbers like, but does XRP then deserve to be in the top 10? Well, I don't know for sure. I think the answer might be the answer might be yes, because XRP is functionally used for stuff. It's understood. XRP is tested for over a decade, tried and true. People know it works. It's great for payments. It's understood. It's fantastic for various use cases having to do with payments. And not just that. I understand, of course, you can do other stuff. World's first ever decentralized exchange built into it. Most developers don't even know that. So it does other stuff as well, of course. But consider that, if you're looking at most businesses, like if a business that is started today, 90% of them fail by year 10. 90% of new businesses fail by year 10. Now consider, what you're talking about here is development in the world of cryptocurrency. I'd still argue it's pretty much a nascent asset class, even after 15 years. Nowhere near sufficient adoption, I would say. Most of the world not even aware of it or touching it. And so I would assume that most of these projects are going through lots of exploration, trying all sorts of crazy ideas. Almost all of it will fail. I think that well over 99% of the things that are being developed are going to not work out. A lot of stuff is being tried, and it should be with this new technology. Let it happen. Let the market do its thing, and then certain things are going to work, and it's going to transform the world. That's what we're talking about. That's what we should expect. But almost all of it, all of these developers, are most of the developers that are building what they're building today going to be here in 5 years or 10 years? Probably not. But still, I understand. Those chains are attracting developers for a reason. That's a net positive. But is that more important than the fact that XRP does other stuff having to do with payments and other things today? Right now, and we'll see if this lasts, and I'm not certain it will last, but it could. I'm admitting I don't know. I'm just trying to encourage discussion on this. Right now, the market says XRP is more valuable, even with smart contract functionality, than other major chains that have more developer activity, and that's why they're priced lower. That's what the market says today. Now, that can change. And since I don't know if it's going to change, that's why I say, do you want to risk that? I don't. We should encourage more developer activity. Of course we should. I'm just saying I don't know to what degree it's important. I think that there is something to be said for staying power. I do think that's recognized in the market. It's tried and true. XRP has legal clarity. There's no shortage of other things. So I do think the XRP ecosystem overall is healthy, but these are the types of things that I'm thinking through. I don't have all the answers. I'm not pretending to, but I think these are some of the things that we should consider. And then on top of that, we should push for more awareness of what the XRP ledger can do to attract more developers. That's all that I'm saying. And then there's this from the Crypto Basic. Experts raise concerns as Ripple president provides vague response about XRP adoption post-lawsuit. Prominent figures in the XRP community have raised concerns amid Ripple's president's unclear response to an inquiry about XRP adoption following the XRP lawsuit victory. In a recent interview with the Chain Reaction Pod, Ripple President Monica Long faced a critical question regarding the implications of the U.S. court ruling that classified XRP as not a security for retail investors. However, her response to the inquiry has left numerous XRP community members more perplexed than enlightened. Specifically, in response to whether the court ruling had spurred increased adoption of XRP, Long's answer lacked a definitive endorsement of a positive impact. She noted a more consistent trend line in the market, attributing it to speculation over the past few months. Hence, in her view, the crypto market has exhibited a more unified movement than one specific to XRP. And here's her quote. I've observed a more consistent trend line of the market moving together over the past several months based on speculation and excitement of ETF. So the market has been moving more together versus a segmented fashion, end quote. The remark from Ripple's president sparked significant reactions from the XRP community. Well-known XRP figure Wrath of Kahneman pointed out that while the question pertained to adoption, the response focused more on price, deviating from what would typically be associated with adoption. As a result, he asserted that her response conveyed a polite no, as it lacked any indication of affirmation or agreement. Similarly, Yasin Novarik, founder of Dizer Capital, expressed his concerns about Long's response. He stressed that the lack of a definitive answer is a fundamental issue. Mubarak remarked, quote, "This is a fundamental question, and the fact that Monica Long could not give a clear yes answer is concerning." And so that was his quote. I got to be honest with you here, and this is just one man's opinion, take it for what it's worth. I am not the least bit concerned by her response. I genuinely am not. If you're talking about actual adoption of XRP, it would have been better to say that, but her brain could have just thought, oh, price movement. Frankly, my guess is that's probably what happened, because even if you're talking about XRP adoption, her answer working at Ripple is an easy yes. Did you guys see the recent figures on ODL? About half of Ripple's transactions now use XRP as a bridge currency via ODL. That's the most recent number I saw. So that's a substantial increase, because I remember a couple years or so ago, it was what, like 25%? So even for them, the answer is yes. And there's all sorts of stuff it's still being built on the XRP ledger. Like let's be clear here. We don't need to be all doomy and gloomy. Like, I still think the future's bright for XRP and the XRP ledger. There are real people building real things. That unquestionably that's the case on the XRP ledger. So yes, it's true, like I said at the outset of the video, that Ripple does have a more broad push. They're trying to cement themselves as a blockchain provider, which is why they've gotten into, obviously custody and other stuff. So that's not surprising. That's fine. They're just trying to secure their future here. It doesn't mean that they don't care about XRP. XRP, like, they're still the largest holders of XRP. Yes, they have the most to lose if it doesn't work out. And on top of that, even recently, I don't know if they ever ended up hiring somebody, but I know even just a month ago, they were seeking to hire basically like a community ambassador type of role to interface, because they do want XRP, and specifically for XRP, just to be clear, this Ripple's trying to, so Ripple does care. I'm telling you for sure, they do care tremendously about XRP. They're seeking to hire somebody to fulfill that role, just kind of facilitate conversation between Ripple and then broadly the XRP community, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. They should interface with the community, have somebody that is communicating a message in line with what makes sense for Ripple and the community where there's overlap. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. But that's just one more thing recently that shows they're not abandoning XRP. It wouldn't even make sense for that to happen. And so I think to read that far into this question, I think it's just a bit too much personal. It's just my personal opinion. I know other people feel differently, and I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I really doubt that I'm wrong on that. Ripple's not abandoning XRP. They're just doing other stuff, and they're growing XRP adoption for their use case. They're one developer building on top of the XRP ledger in a really big way. So it's cool. And so, look, things are cemented. As long as this is the case, I just don't see how XRP is going to be discarded as long as XRP is functionally used for stuff, and today it is. But if it's the case that people are going to increasingly focus on other types of adoption that I've not considered, okay, fine, maybe I'm wrong, it falls out of the top 10. But that's why I'm saying we should progress that conversation, and we should encourage awareness in terms of what the XRP ledger can do, because developers broadly don't know. I think that's true. That's why I'm talking about this, so everybody can be aware of it, and I'm just trying to push the conversation along. That's why I appreciate so much that the blockchain backer brought it up, because I wouldn't have necessarily even thought to talk about it in this way if not for him. Look, my thesis has always been that utility matters and will win the day. I understand that. That part of my perspective has not changed at all. XRP is useful today. So even if there's way fewer developers, as long as it's useful, does it matter? I mean, clearly for Bitcoin, it doesn't matter that it can't do much of anything. It's just the standard for what it's store of value. Okay, well, that's the case today anyway. That's what the market says. Whether we think it makes sense or not doesn't matter. The market says it makes sense. Similarly, the market says it makes sense for XRP to be number 6 in market cap today. So we'll see what happens here. But those are just some of my general thoughts. I'll leave it here. You guys let me know what you think. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.